Also, the New York Times has a fascinating article today about, how basically all these stories about Bowe Bergdahl, that he left a note, that he was a deserter, that he had converted to Islam, that none of that stuff is true. That, going through the, and here's the supreme irony. The New York Times was able to go through the actual logs day to day, day by day, week by week, month by month, through the day that he deserted or left his post, the day that he was captured. There's no evidence that he deserted. From the day that he was captured until, months afterwards, the New York Times was able to go through all of the top secret classified internal Army logs because Chelsea Manning leaked them through WikiLeaks. So the New York Times has them. And they went through this stuff, and then they went to the military and said, it looks to us like, A, this guy had a history of wandering slightly off the base in order to catch sunrises and sunsets. B, if he was able to do that, it was lax security on the base, which reflects poorly on how that base was run. And C, we can't find any evidence that the Army ever noted that he had any interest in Islam or converting to Islam or anything. He had an interest in the local culture. I mean, who wouldn't, right? You're a tourist in a foreign land. And there's no evidence that there was a note, that none of that stuff. That the right wing has just been, they've reinvented this guy, Fox News. And right-wing talk radio, and right-wing websites like the Drudge Report. They have reinvented this guy in a way that is so damning when there's nothing to back that up in the official Army logs, in the official investigations. And then on top of that, they're condemning the president for doing this swap that was first announced back in 2011, 3 years ago. It was announced in the national media. And not only that, but John McCain was specifically asked about this very deal. These particular 5 Taliban guys, these guys, their names appeared in the national media in 2011. And when that happened, when that story came out that we were debating releasing these 5 Taliban guys, as soon as it hit the press, the deal fell apart because there are factions within the Taliban. There are hard right factions, there are moderate factions, maybe there's even a liberal faction. There are factions within the Taliban, and as soon as the word got out that we were negotiating with one faction, some other faction blew up the deal, which of course is what the president was trying to avoid having happen. It turns out there's actually even a guy, a Republican, his name is Richard Grinnell. He's got a PR firm here in D.C., apparently. And he's been, Capital Media is the company, and he's been out getting anti-Bowe Bergdahl guys on the air, trying to book them on shows. And they're getting booked. One of them even put out a tweet saying, "Thank you for getting me on." And this is really interesting. Who's paying this guy? Who would hire a PR firm to slander an American soldier? And why? Now, my theory about why the Republicans jumped all over this when they did was because as the VA scandal was unraveling, what was unraveling at the same time was the fact that repeatedly Republicans had filibustered or refused to vote in the House, filibustered in the Senate, any attempt over the last 6 years to appropriate anything, to change the rules, to change the funding, to fix the VA. And now it looks, from reporting we heard last night and from a conversation I had this morning with Senator Sanders' office, that Bernie and John McCain got together and said, okay, let's put something together, and they're gonna roll it out next week in the Senate. But I think the Republicans are trying to change the subject.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Because they were looking so bad, and it may be that once the Republicans, once a bipartisan deal for the VA comes out, they'll stop slandering Bergdahl.